Addy soldiers. If you hear any cat yelling or other shenanigans, I have somebody here that's decided that now is the opportune time that she wants attention. Of course. So, I hear some grumpy cat in the background. Also, surprise, I got a new tattoo. Good spot for Pumpkin. Yeah. Oh. Where are you going, honey? I've also already knocked one full glass of chai tea over today, so we're gonna put this right there and hope that there's not gonna be a lucky number 2. So last week it was my birthday. I turned 25 years old, which means that I had a quarter-century quarantine birthday. And I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do this week for like a birthday type video, you know, because all my birthday books are gonna be in transit for the next like month. So no birthday book haul was gonna be coming out of that. But the video that caught on my mind was when people do the however many number of things that I've learned in however many number of years. I thought that would be kind of fun to do like a life advice video. However, before we get started, I would like to just say that every point in today's video is coming from a cis white woman from a middle-class family in a first world country, being Canada, and I acknowledge that a lot of these tips come from someone who has a privileged background and has been able to do these things to give this advice. However, I think some of these things are universal, so grab a tea, grab a snack, and let's get started. For example, number 1 is to always have a caffeinated beverage nearby. No, I'm kidding, but like, for real. Number 1. Bangs are way harder to cut on your own than you think. I apologize and thank everybody who had to see me from like January 2018 to December 2019. For like half of that first year, my bangs were down to here for no good reason. And then for the rest of the time, they were like shifted mostly to the left because I have a cowlick right here that I hadn't learned how to deal with yet. And then there was that time where my bangs were at an almost 45-degree angle slant for about 2 weeks before I noticed it. Number 2 is to not sacrifice your own well-being for someone else's happiness. In my 25 years, I've gone through a couple of toxic friendships and relationships. Whatever kind of relationship you have, usually when you enter that, it's because you like the other person and you want to make them happy because they make you happy. And sometimes to make them happy, you will do something that you don't ultimately enjoy, but that shouldn't be the norm. And there are definitely some people who give or take more than others, but you have to determine whether that's worth it to you to keep that person in your life. Like, I kind of realized partway through some of these relationships that I also deserve to be happy, and if I'm constantly giving my time, my energy, even my money, and I'm not getting that back in a way that I feel is worth it to me, then I stopped being friends and partners with that person. And like, yeah, it sucks in the moment because you're cutting off a connection, but ultimately it's better to cut off that toxic connection, and I'm so much happier now that I don't have those people in my life anymore. I had a couple of very dramatic years in my early 20s. Oh my god, I'm in my mid-20s now. That's so weird. I'm an adult, like a true full adult. It seems fake. Number 3, if you feel like you hate everybody in the world, have something to eat. But if you feel like everybody in the world hates you, go to sleep. Number 4, you have to be your own biggest advocate. About 2016 to 2019, where I had really bad chronic pelvic pain, and it was because I have some rips and weak points in my abdominal wall, so my intestines and organs were pushing through and causing pain, which is a delightful visual. And I can tell you that it was not fun for anybody involved. But I went to, I want to say like 5 or 6 doctors and 3 specialists. I had maybe 8 blood tests, I had 6 ultrasounds. The only time that I found out what happened was when they actually like went in and did surgery. Before I got that consultation with the surgeon, I was in constant pain where I couldn't get out of bed, where it was affecting what I was doing in my life. I couldn't go out of my house for more than a couple hours at a time. I couldn't work. I had to sit down at work, and then that docked me hours. It was awful. I was in pain, and every doctor that I went to was telling me that nothing was wrong because the tests weren't showing anything. And I went a little crazy because you're constantly in this pain that is like life-changing to you, and you're being told that there's nothing wrong with you and that like you're just being over dramatic. And I mean, that's a whole other thing, like as a woman in healthcare, but these were all women doctors except for one, so like what the hell? Anyways, I learned that you need to be your own biggest advocate, because if I hadn't pushed for those extra tests and those extra doctors, I probably just would have still been in pain, and I would have been an awful bitter person by this point. Not that I am not already, but like, you know. So you have to be your own biggest advocate because nobody else will push for you like you will. Number 5, unless explicitly asked, don't wear polka dots to a funeral. Just read the room. It's not the time. Number 6, High school is not forever. I know when I was in high school, people told me this all the time, and I read it in books and articles, and everyone's like, high school's not forever, you'll move on and get on with your life, and like, but when you're in the depths of high school, it feels like that is your life, and you will never move on from the people that you're with and the things that you're doing and the, you know, confines of your family or town or what have you. But I swear, it will get better and you will move on. You're there for an education. I know there's gonna be a lot of drama and weirdness with friends and like a social hierarchy, whatever, but if you go there for your education, you're winning. Also, like, a free tip is just join a theater company. That'll help you out a lot. Number 7. Just because you grew up a certain way with certain beliefs or were exposed to certain things doesn't mean that you can't stand to learn about other people or cultures or ways of life. I'd say especially learn about things that you don't identify with, or if it's the opposite of what you believe. Not only just to play devil's advocate, but just to expand your mind of what you know about the world. I feel like especially now, in the current political and social climate that we are now in as I release this video, we can always stand to learn from somebody else. And now in a world where information is very easily accessible, you are keeping yourself ignorant by choice. Number 8. Stand up for what you feel is right, even if it feels wrong. If you don't stand up for yourself, you're gonna regret that decision way farther down the line, and it's gonna be so much worse than if you have the momentary uncomfortable situation that is standing up for yourself right there and then. Hi. Oh. Alright, number 9, English major Rachel is gonna teach you some life skills. Get out your pens, get out your papers, I'm gonna show you how to write a proper essay. We're gonna do a quick crash course of the 5-paragraph essay that all y'all should have learned how to write in like 7th grade, but for some reason now in university are still having like no idea what's going on. So here we go. A traditional 5-paragraph essay is going to have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The first line of the introductory paragraph is going to be a hook or a question or something that the reader looks at and goes, ooh, that's interesting, I would like to read more. The information in the introductory paragraph is introducing the reader to your work. So maybe you're going to say, for example, as an English student, what book you're going to be discussing and by who and when they published it. You're going to be talking about the other book that you are going to be comparing it against, or maybe like a theme that you're going to be exploring in that book. And finally, the thesis statement. The thesis statement is the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. I don't know why people think it just like floats over here by itself. Everyone is very intimidated by thesis statements. Your thesis statement is a 1-sentence summary of your entire essay. In an English major essay, you might say something like, this essay involves the theme of Gothic romance in the book Jane Eyre by Jane Austen and how it affects the modern romance genre today. There, boom. Also, I would read that essay. Someone get on that. Then you have your subsequent body paragraphs, however many of them there are. And these are basically just talking about the points that you introduced in your introductory paragraph. So the first sentence of each paragraph is a summary of that paragraph. So this one is about the Gothic movement, this one is about Jane Eyre's history, and this one is about romance. And finally, the concluding paragraph is not just a summary of your essay, but it also should help to drive home your point. The conclusion is the place where you get to drive that point home. You make your point stronger. You get to like hit that reader with something fun, you know? Let me know if you need me to do a full video on this, because as someone who has edited a lot of papers, some of y'all need this. Moving on, number 10. If you can help it, don't schedule your wisdom teeth removal the day before a final exam. Just don't do it. Just don't. Number 11, we're just gonna, numbers have already been showing up on screen, so we're just gonna go with numbers now. Number 11, my favorite piece of advice is to fake it till you make it. Now, of course, you should not be faking anything extraordinary about yourself or your life or your abilities, because that may lead you into some bad situations, but honestly, it's like a confidence thing. If you fake that you're confident and that you know that you can get that job and you know exactly where you're going in a new city, or that you look super great in this outfit that you think makes you look like a trash bag in heels, you know, you can work it. Number 12. I have learned that the worst possible alcoholic beverage to have is a Red Bull vodka. Don't do it. It is the only time that I have ever blacked out from alcohol. I really felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. My heart was beating so fast. Like, I don't even like Red Bull, and this was my drink of choice for like a whole year. I still don't know why. Number 13. If you really want something, find a way to do it. This could be like learning a new skill, or starting a new craft, or writing a book, or buying a car, or living in a new place. You will only start something by starting. You will only get better at something by starting. And if you want to do it enough, find a way to do it. If that means that you really want to write a book, maybe finding a way to do that is waking up 30 minutes earlier than you do every day to write. If you really want to live in a new place, maybe that means going onto that country's immigration website and looking up apartments at that country's real estate website. If that's making a big purchase, is maybe saving a couple extra dollars every month. None of this like, I'm not good enough to do it, just like, you gotta start somewhere, so frickin' start. Number 14. Having sex does not make you a whole new person. Losing your virginity, or whatever that means to whoever you are based on whatever sexuality or identity or religion or culture that you come from or have, is very romanticized, right? Oh my god, it's the first time, we're losing your V card, you're gonna be a whole new person. And for some people, the bonding hormone that comes out when you have sex is stronger than others. People will find attachment differently. Having had sex does not make you this new and improved human being. Like, no one's gonna look at you in the street and be like, there's something different about that person. It's not like you wake up the next morning and there's like a new color spectrum, or the government sends you a not a virgin anymore stamp card. Number 15 is to know your limits and communicate those with people, because people are not mind readers. These limits can be emotional, like for example, I'm a very introverted person, and you know, 6 hours with people, I'm like, I'm done. I need to go escape back into the hole that I crawled out of. This could be physical, say like you sprained your ankle a couple months ago and it's still healing, and your friends are like, let's go on a 7-hour hike. You know, maybe be like, how about we take a walk around the block instead? Or it could even be monetary. Like, I feel like we all have that one rich friend that's like, let's go to Aruba for my wedding. And I'm like, Linda, I can't do that. Are you kidding me? I have student loans to pay. Like, what the hell? Similar to that, number 16 is that communication makes everybody's lives easier. I don't understand this whole, like, wait 3 days to text this person, or like, oh, I'm mad at my husband, so I'm not gonna talk to him until he realizes what he did wrong. I'm like, what are you doing? This is what I have the problem with in a lot of YA novels, is that 90% of their problems could be solved by putting the characters in the same room and having them have a conversation. Like, it's so much better in any kind of relationship, romantic, platonic, work-related, anything, if you just communicate. Number 17. If you are unhappy about something about yourself, figure out why you're unhappy about it. And then once you do that, figure out a way to change it or accept it. I said this in another video, so I will link that, and that was a like how to be confident in modeling video, but we're gonna say it again here. There are certain things about yourself that you can and can't change. For example, if you want to get a nose job, or if you want to start dressing more fashionably, or if you want to be involved in world politics, you can. But if you are 5'2", constantly lamenting about how you want to be 5'10", I got some news for you. It's not gonna happen. Stop trying to make 5'10" happen. Some things are unchangeable about yourself, and so you have to find a way to accept those things. And it doesn't have to be overnight, because it sure as hell wasn't like that for me. Let me just take a refreshing sip before we continue on this video. Number 18 is to say yes to experiences that are outside your comfort zone, but not outside of who you are. For example, I have absolutely no desire to ever go skydiving in my life, and I know that something like that is something that people might say, but you have to do it. That's like a bucket list activity. That's something that not a lot of people get to do. It's so wild. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it? You know, hashtag YOLO. I have no interest in that. I don't like falling sensations, and I don't really want to go do that just to say that I've done it if like I have no interest, so I would be wasting money and like being unhappy with that decision, you know? Whereas something like traveling to a different country by myself might be something that I would be pretty uncomfortable and nervous with, but that's not outside of who I am, because I've traveled with other people before, and I've been independent for quite a few years now in my own city, so I feel like, you know what, I could do that. It would be a bit of a learning curve, but I could do it. So, you know, think about like what you really want to do instead of people saying that you should do it. Number 19 is to keep track of where your money is going. Create a budget, get a debit card statement every month. Figure out where your money's going and try and save it if you can. I know a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck or can only put, you know, $5 a month away. But you know what? It's gonna add up, and that's really better than nothing. Plus, just because you know where it's going doesn't mean that you have to stop spending it a certain way. Like, yes, I spend way too much money on Starbucks, but you know what? At least I know where my money's going. Like, I'm not pretending that habit doesn't exist or ignoring it entirely on my credit card statement. And what can I say? I like fancy coffee, and there's a Starbucks on campus on my way to work. What do you want from me? Number 20 is that anything you like doing is not a waste of time. There are all these people who are gonna try and bash whatever hobby or interest that you have just for the sake of putting you down. And you know what? If you like doing it, if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anybody else, knock yourself out. People are always like, why do you read young adult books? You're an adult now, like, young adult's so dumb. And I'm like, sir, delete. Number 21 is that if you have the chance to live in a new city or country, do it. And I have been very lucky and privileged to have lived in 4 different countries, mostly through modeling contracts when I was a little bit younger. Very different feeling vacationing somewhere and living somewhere. And I love coming to live in a new city because you get to explore a whole new city and find out what makes it interesting to you, and like find those favorite coffee shops and find your favorite bookstore. I feel like every city that you're in, you get to be a new person and you get to figure out if you like that version of yourself and if you like that new person. You're opening yourself up to new experiences and new people and new food and like ways of living, and I find that so cool just to be like, what are these people doing over here? Let's try that for a couple of months. Plus, if you really hate it, you can just move back to the place that you were originally from, and it's kind of like a no harm, no foul. Number 22 is to not go on a diet of watermelon and eggs for 3 days. It's not worth it, just trust me. Number 23 is to, god damn it, be nice to service workers. I'm talking retail, food service, maintenance. Like, we are all trying our best, and we are probably under immense pressure from our bosses. I don't want to have to shove this flyer in your face any more than you want it shoved in your face, but I still have to do it. If we say we don't have something in the back, god damn it, we do not have it in the back. Do you think that if I could, I would make both my life and your life easier? I don't have it. Maintenance people could just not clean the bathrooms for like 3 days. How would you like that? Waiters could spit in your food. Why are you rude to service industry people? Almost at the end, number 24. Don't spend a lot of money when you're starting a hobby. If you want to start exercising more, go buy a $5 shirt at Walmart instead of a $100 one at Lululemon. If you want to start sewing, buy a secondhand machine and go to Value Village and buy some thread or some curtains to practice your sewing on. Like, eventually, when you get some practice and you decide if you like it or not, you can go and buy better quality paints or a new machine or some, invest in some nice running shoes. Don't drop a lot of money on supplies for things that you're like sort of starting out with or maybe not that interested in, because you're gonna end up with a ton of supplies for something that you don't want to do anymore, and then you're gonna be out of a lot of money. So start cheap, work your way up. And lastly, number 25 is that you don't have to stick doing the same thing over and over again because it's always been that way. You don't have to stay in the town that you grew up in because your parents and your grandparents did. Just because you've been with a partner forever doesn't mean that you have to stay with them now. Just because no one else in your family has ever dyed their hair hot pink doesn't mean that you can't do it by proxy. Yes, you may have people against you and there may be some obstacles in the way, but if you really want to change, you can reinvent yourself as many times as you want, and I find that idea very freeing. Woo! There we go! There are 25 pieces of advice that I have learned from being alive a quarter century. These 2.5 decades have not gone how I expected, but then again, like, what are we expecting? What is normal? What is life? Where are we right now? What is here? Day is it? What month is it? What year is it? I don't know, but apparently it's been 25 years of me being on this earth. So, cheers to have not fucked it up that bad so far. If you are older than me, if you are younger than me, feel free to leave some advice in the comments down below. I'd like to, we'll all just have like a big life advice pool that we can just all contribute to. I'm gonna go heat up the rest of my beverage and go feed my cat so that she stops trying to claw me. You know where to click to like the video, you know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!